St George Illawarra didn't just bounce back to form, they rose from the dead to put on the club's biggest ever score against the Broncos. A 48-18 demolition to stay alive in the finals, but the Dragons' casualties are many.
A solid Suncorp crowd on hand, some of them even Dragons fans, who believed their side hadn't flamed out, who believed in this one.
Well, it might be his last game today, Sam. Oh, good shot there, Graham.
A near try, a hunt catch, all seemed to be going well for the Dragons until this.
Oh, Nicarima now. Straight through the Fafita's on the inside.
18-year-old David Fafita with the match's opening points, but Hunt hit back. He put Tarek Sims through a gap.
Sims over!
Brother Corbin then ended Graham's outing.
He's lying flat on his back, and Corbin Sims, the Brisbane players have come in to help. This is a real concern.
It wasn't the only damage Corbin was causing, but it was the eldest of the Sims boys with a first-half hat-trick.
Yeah, get out of my way, brother.
The Dragons ahead 28-10 at half-time.
He wouldn't have cracked a smile in 6 weeks.
It didn't last long because upon resumption, the Broncos scored consecutive tries. Darius Boyd crossed, followed by Cody Nicarima, while Gareth Whittett's shoulder gave in.
Well, that's a sad sight.
But Brisbane's comeback fell well short, going down 48-18. St George Illawarra may be busted and broken, but the Saints are marching on. Rob Canning, NBN News.
The Roosters believe they have the strike power to qualify for the grand final even without Latrell Mitchell. Their superstar centre could miss the preliminary final in a fortnight. He was charged with a crusher tackle in the Roosters' 9-point win over Cronulla.
Scott Morrison has won a lot of battles lately. This one didn't go the Prime Minister's way. The Sharks diehard forced to visit the Roosters' sheds and concede defeat after his side missed a chance to upset the minor premiers.
Oh, I just got to take the opportunities when you get them. I think we had, obviously, probably 2 or 3 opportunities that we could have scored. We just didn't finish off, and probably the last pass.
The Roosters were ruthless with their chances. Cooper Cronk was brought to the club to ice games, and he delivered, scoring a try, slotting a field goal and kicking over 600 metres in general play.
I just know when we're in that position, everyone sort of trusts him, and he leads us around the park, and the way he composed himself to slot that field goal as well, he's done it that many times, so he's just awesome to have around us in the team.
James Tedesco thrived in his first ever finals game. He's now just 1 win away from a grand final.
What are you normally doing at this time of year?
Yeah, partying. I'd definitely rather this, playing finals footy than be knocked out and watching other teams play.
The match was costly for both sides. Latrell Mitchell could miss the grand final qualifier, charged with a crusher tackle on Josh Dugan, while Sharks enforcer Wade Graham is looking at over 6 months on the sidelines after tearing his ACL. Jake Duke, NBN News.
The Sharks will face the Panthers on Friday night, and Penrith is already pleading with the refs to look after their stars. James Maloney will have to have painkilling injections before taking to the field after copping a late hit in their win over the Warriors.
In agonising pain, barely able to move his neck, James Maloney is putting on a brave face.
The fella got me in the back a bit later, so it's been me last month, so continue on.
It's a neck injury he struggled with all season and made worse by the constant barrage of hard hits week after week.
How's that glute and nails? James Maloney. It's just nerves, pinching, sort of got an issue with the neck joint that just aggravates every week, so it's been my life for the last month, so we'll just keep pushing through it.
Earlier this season, the NRL changed the rules to protect playmakers, but the Panthers believe the late shots have crept back into the game.
1.5. Can't even talk with the media because his neck's going in. I think it needs to be brought to a head. We get send-offs with blokes escorting players off the ball, but we can't get send-offs with blokes taking out halfbacks after they pass the ball.
And Merrin is pleading with the refs to do more to protect the players for the remainder of their finals campaign.
I think we're going to keep our players playing as long as they possibly can this career. Everyone wants to see their players on the field, so if we can target that and work really hard on knocking it on the head, then it's great for the game.
Danica Mason, NBN News.
The Swans dominated AFL in Sydney for more than 100 years, but now there's a new kid in town. GWS crushed their crosstown rivals by 49 points, kept superstar Buddy Franklin goalless, and took one giant leap towards a maiden grand final.
Rolling through the routine like any other week, you wouldn't know finals had arrived in Greater Western Sydney.
Serious belief in the group as well that we can go anywhere and do anything, so yeah, the belief and the capabilities there.
The Giants' capability was blinding last night. They kept the Swans to their lowest ever score at the SCG, booted them out of the finals, and managed to silence one of the greatest names in the game.
Lance coming with an injury clout. I thought all our backs to keep them to 4 goals. Our back seven was probably the best performance collectively for the entire year.
It's come at a cost, with star midfielder Josh Kelly having scans on a suspected meniscus tear.
I shared a few text messages with him over the last sort of 24 hours, and he's optimistic that he'll be able to get up and play. So these young kids, they heal quickly, so we'll give him every chance.
The Giants are giving every chance to Toby Green as well, who's been slammed for his controversial and often dangerous marking technique.
He's a pretty special player, Toby, isn't he? And, you know, from my understanding, he didn't break any rules. You're allowed to protect yourself in the marking contest.
It'll be known tomorrow whether the AFL will take any action. For now, it's all eyes on Collingwood next week.
And the MCG is where you want to be come September.
Julie Snook, NBN News.
The Wallabies have secured their first victory of the Rugby Championship with a gutsy 23-18 win over South Africa in Brisbane. Matt Tamua made a big impact in his return to the green and gold, notching up 15 points of his own. The Wallabies keep the Mandela plates and next play Argentina. Coming up, Brianna Niffland back on the podium.